I've asked Captain Hoobler to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the September 25th, 2017 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I currently serve as chair of the commission and represent District 3 alongside Commissioner Shelley Bueller, who represents District 1, and Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome. First item of business, please.
Item 2, unfinished business. Number 1, consider home rule resolution number HR 2017-3, adopting the Shawnee County Title 6 plan to ensure compliance with federal laws prohibiting unlawful discrimination. Second reading.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jonathan Brzon, Assistant County Counselor. As the clerk stated, this is the second reading of this home rule resolution that will adopt our Title VI plan. It'll help us ensure that we do not have any unlawful discrimination in any county programs or activities. If this is approved today, the notice that was attached to the resolution, this Exhibit B, will be posted in county offices, which explains who to contact to file a complaint. Another thing that we'll do if this is adopted today is we're going to extend the language line contract that the jail has for interpretation services out to all county departments. Each county department will get an access code so they can take advantage of that service. Be happy to answer any other questions you have.
Questions for Jonathan this morning? Commissioner Cook?
I don't have any.
Commissioner Bueller?
I don't think I have anything for Jonathan. I might have one for Betty, though. And my understanding is that Bill Kroll then would be the person identified for the coordinator? Or
Yes.
for the
Yes. He would be the one accepting the complaints and investigating them.
Okay. And I just wanted to check on workload and that sort of thing. This has been discussed, and
It has been discussed. I don't think we're anticipating that much of a workload increase from this because, I mean, this is not really changing the way we do business. It's just formalizing
Yes.
it. Is that correct? Yes. So we're not anticipating a lot, but yes, it has been discussed, and he has agreed to do that.
I just had an email, somebody concerned about that. I
Yeah.
just wanted the assurance that it wasn't additional workload. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
The only item I had was on page 24, going down to number 3. It says, and this is discussing the health department, it says, SCHD has a staff member severing on the Sheldon Head Start Advisory Committee, and I assume that's supposed to be serving on.
That would need to be serving. Yep, we'll get that
So if,
fixed.
Spell check works, but sometimes you have to double check things to make sure they're correct. So let's make that amendment, and I'll move to adopt the home rule resolution.
Second.
Motion made to adopt the resolution by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you for your fine work on this, Jonathan.
Thank you.
And staff. Next item, please.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Are there questions? There were a couple of items on the consent agenda.
No questions. I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $1,345,411.18. The highlights out of the voucher report are payroll, $552,755.23. The building and fund, which the majority is Americrete, which is the Cypress Ridge cart pass, and that was $144,950.66. Health insurance premiums of $267,819.82. Parks and Recreation vouchers of $125,979.59. And finally, holding accounts, for which the state of Kansas, motor vehicle related, $64,511.44. I do not have any questions regarding the vouchers, and we move for their approval.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve the voucher report by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the correction orders by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. And that motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item A3, consider approval of request to change coverage on the solid waste trash trucks from the third-party liability and the county self-insurance to full coverage through Travelers Insurance Company. And Commissioners, this is been a request that was given to me through solid waste, Tom Block, and it was a discussion with the Assistant County Counselor, Mr. Brzon, and Ms. Greiner. They felt this was, considering some of the issues we've had with our solid waste trucks lately, and that this would be a good option. Jan Mason from Willis, Greater Peak, Kansas, is here, and she is going to tell you what the coverage is going to be, what we had, what we're going to, and answer any questions you have. And Tom Block is also, if you have any questions specific to why he is initiating the change. So, yeah.
Good morning. I'm Jan Mason, Willis Towers Watson, insurance broker. We obtained a quote from Travelers, who currently writes your liability insurance. All the other vehicles have liability only, or third-party liability if there's damage to others' property or vehicles. We currently have some physical damage for some police vehicles and the solid waste, but it's got a very high deductible, and it's for very limited perils while they're parked. So overnight, if one catches on fire and it spreads to others, there's coverage for that. So this new coverage would provide pretty much full coverage for comprehensive and collision while they're driving, not just while they're parked. And the deductible would be much lower at $2,500 per accident. The premium, you guys do have it, but with going to the Travelers for the full coverage, the annual premium would be $28,419 as compared to currently it's $7,633. And then part of that $7,000 would come back as a refund when we took off the coverage on the limited perils policy, and then the $28,000 would also be prorated from when we add the coverage to the policy expiration, which is January 1st. Is there any questions?
And this was the consensus of Finance and Public Works.
Commissioner's Tom Block, Public Works and Solid Waste. Yeah, actually, it would be for solid waste, but after reviewing with the significant amount of use that these trucks are on the road nearly every day, and the value of the fleet as a whole, we felt this is a very good price for the amount of coverage we're getting, and provide us some really good protection from potentially some very significant expenses. So we are on, at Solid Waste, are in full concurrence with this.
Yeah.
And this insurance is paid out of the solid waste?
Yes, we pay out of Solid Waste Fund, again, which would not be taxpayers' money. It would be fees from our users.
Yeah, I don't know about the underwriting of property and casualty insurance, but boy, it sure looks like a bargain to me. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve the request by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Commissioner Cook, did you have
No,
questions?
I agree.
Okay, all right.
All right, thank you.
Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B, Sheriff's Office. Number one, acknowledge that Sheriff Jones has entered into a contract C 313-2017, with Axon for replacement of 109 Taser CEWs with new Taser CEWs, holsters, unlimited batteries, unlimited cartridges, and 3 training cartridges per year per unit at a cost of $202,154.13 over 5 years, with funding from the 2017 budget and subsequent payments from the 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021 budgets.
Good morning, Commissioners. Captain Hoobler with Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. This is a contract that would ensure we have not only current, up-to-date conducted energy weapons, a less lethal option that is critical for all law enforcement to make sure that we have something besides a lethal option. Taser's a reputable company we've gone with for years. One of the advantages of this contract is we will have no additional expenses. Typically throughout a year, we have to buy so many training cartridges for the officers to remain proficient in the use of the conducted energy weapon. And then anytime we use one, a regular cartridge, we have to replace those. Our cost last year was approximately $38,000 for those expenses. So this is a significant savings over the course that I think is advantageous for the county. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you may have them.
Commissioner Cook.
Commissioner, in preparation for today's meeting, I did have a question of our legal counsel regarding this item. We've had ongoing discussions about acknowledging receipt versus approval. This is a 5-year contract which would extend beyond the term of office of Sheriff Jones. And so just what action we would be able to take, and I don't know if somebody from the counselor's office would be able just to advise us as to this item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Crowell, Shawnee County Counselor. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
As to this item, it's a 5-year contract that the memorandum asked for acknowledging receipt. Is that prudent behavior, or should we be actually voting to approve it?
Well, first of all, I've noted a number of contracts that have come across the agenda that are acknowledged receipt. And some of them are sent through my office to be reviewed and approved, and some of them aren't. And from my client's standpoint, which is the county as a whole, and the Board of County Commissioners specifically, if this board does not sign the contract, then this board is not obligated to the contract. So it really is a problem for the third-party vendor that's entering into these contracts with particularly an elected official who may not be in office in 4 or 5 years for whatever reason. And you may have a new elected official in office who no longer wishes to honor the contract. It now becomes a problem for that vendor if you're not sending it through the proper channels and having the Board of County Commissioners sign it. So as long as this board keeps appropriating money into this year 3, 4, 5, that's sufficient to pay the contract, and as long as there is a sheriff in office during those same years that's willing to pay on that contract, then there's going to be no issue. But this county will not be bound by this contract unless the board approves it and signs it, more than just acknowledge receipt. And I try not to, but this is why we have procedures for having offices send contracts through my office, and then I can have this conversation over the phone with the individuals involved and not have it in a public meeting. But this is one of a number I've seen since I've been county counselor where we see acknowledged receipt, and I sit there in that chair and I think to myself, the county's not bound by it if we don't sign it. I don't know if that was your question.
It is.
That's part of what we've discussed.
Well, the quandary that it puts us in as a Board of County Commissioners is whether or not, what action to take on this item. This is obviously something that's been negotiated by the sheriff. It's been produced by the sheriff. It's being taken by the sheriff, who's an elected official, who the Board of County Commissioners cannot direct. However, again, it extends beyond his elected term in office, and so whoever that next sheriff may be, whether it's Sheriff Jones or some other individual, we're talking about a contract that affects that person, and if the county does not approve it, that individual would not be bound by that contract.
Correct.
Other commissioners, you have thoughts or?
Yeah, and I understand it. I think there'd be some financial reasons that we're making this commitment at this point. I mean, longer-term contracts, there's typically economic advantages to it, and I can understand Commissioner Cook's point.
I'm not commenting on the merits of the
Okay.
business deal that was made.
Right.
I'm talking about the strictly the question of what does it mean for the board today to merely acknowledge receipt of this contract. It could be a contract for anything. Extending 4 or 5 years out, like this one does.
Jim, have you had a chance to review this contract at all, though? Is that what you said? You had not?
No, our office hasn't stamped on it.
Okay.
And I see them come through that way.
As a matter of policy, should we have the county councilor comment on each contract that we have that comes along these lines?
I think if
Is that a smart thing to do going forward?
I think so, because often what our office is looking for are contract provisions that are not advantageous for the county. For example, foreign selection clauses from an out-of-state vendor that says if there's a dispute, you have to go to court in the state of New York to settle your dispute. We never agree to those types of clauses because it creates undue advantage and leverage on the vendor if they are not following through on their end of the contract. That's just one example. But we look for items like that. And so I would encourage all county offices, whether they're headed by an elected official or an appointed official, to run contracts through my office that are going to come through the agenda, so that we can look for things and all work on behalf of the county as a whole's best interests and the county taxpayers as a whole and their best interests in making sure that we're entering into contracts that are most advantageous to the county.
So if we did that, it would be sort of a system of checks and balances countywide.
Which is, I've been with the county for 16 years. I don't remember, this is something that's sort of evolved over the last several years, this more and more acknowledged receipt rather than have all contracts come through the office. I don't know why. I'm not here to cast aspersions on any particular official or why, but I personally think it's a better idea for all of these contracts to run through the counselor's office and be reviewed.
Sheriff has an attorney on staff, is that correct?
Yes.
I'll turn to the lawyer.
But ultimately, if we do not, if we only acknowledge receipt, and if there is a problem 5 years from now, won't the county be named as a party to the lawsuit?
Potentially, and we will defend based on the fact that we never executed the document. And there's case law going back to the 1930s that says if this board doesn't approve it, then this board is not obligated. It's a case that I keep right in my back pocket.
Question though,
Yeah.
do those elected, those 5 other elected officials, do they have the ability then, I know that Sheriff Jones runs these across our agenda and makes us aware of them, but is there a requirement that he is to do that as elected officials? I mean, I've heard it both ways as well.
The issue really comes down to, part of the issue is, are we talking about budgeted funds or not? In this particular discussion is talking about funds in years out where we haven't even set budgets yet. So there are Attorney General opinions that talk about the role of an elected official, and once a budget's been set, you have not a lot of control over how those funds are spent, as long as they're spent within the budget. So, yes, an elected official can and has entered into contracts before to spend those funds that have been allocated by the board. And it's really not your function to oversee every dollar of spending within those amounts that have been budgeted. Of course, you're probably going to remember going into the next budget year if an elected official came to you and said, I need X amount of dollars to spend on an item, and then they don't, or they spend a different amount. You're probably going to remember that the next time you're going to be budgeting for that office. So the issue of control is a difficult one, and it depends on which budget year you're talking about. But once you've allocated a budget, you don't have a lot of control on how they spend it at that point.
Commissioner Cook.
Just, I think that the position that it puts us into as a board is that it would, when we have contracts that are going to be 5-year contracts, it would be a better, I mean, this is something the county and the sheriff should be on the same page about and partner in with if that's what we're going to be doing. And having run through our office, having our office review it legally. And if the sheriff wants to have, that risk or potential for risk, that he does so at his own, at least having knowledge if that's out there.
Well, it's a vendor risk, too.
It's a vendor risk.
Yeah. But this wasn't, on a going forward basis, this wouldn't be just the sheriff.
Yeah.
For example, it could be the elections commissioner, the treasurer. If we wanted to adopt a policy that all contracts entered into in Shawnee County would go through our county counselor's office.
But I don't know that we would have the ability, if I hear the counselor correctly, we would not have the ability to have a resolution that all contracts go through the counselor's office unless it extends beyond their term in office. So if our Register of Deeds, and seeing Becky Neosy at the back of the room, if she wanted to have cell phones for all of her staff so that they were on call whenever they would need to have an emergency in the Register of Deeds office, if it was a 1-year contract, that's within her discretion. If it's a 5-year contract with premium pricing and so that it's a really good deal, that would be something that then we would be looking at.
I agree. And like I said, not cast aspersions at elected officials. It's just a matter of we're seeing more and more. I'm seeing more of these, and I look for a stamp from my office, and I don't see a stamp, and I don't know why. I haven't heard any complaints yet that contracts are getting bogged down, held up by going through the step of going through our office. I think we do a pretty good job of getting those in and getting those reviewed and back out fairly quickly when they are presented to us. So if someone does have a complaint and that's why they're not being sent to us, then I want to know about it.
Commissioner, at this point, I would move to defer the item until Thursday. That way the sheriff has the opportunity to kind of take all of this into account and to weigh in on it. I know Captain Hoobler gets the short end of the straw, or the short straw to get drawn over to present the item, but that way the sheriff has the opportunity to review it before we move forward on it, as to whether it's acknowledged or an approval.
Okay.
So motion to defer until Thursday, the 28th.
I'll second.
Motion made to defer until Thursday by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B2, acknowledge that Sheriff Jones has entered into a contract C314-2017 with Voice Product Service LLC for covert cameras and audio recordings in the detective interview rooms at a cost of $3,768 for 1 year.
Good morning, Commissioners. Captain Hoobler again, and apparently the operative phrase in this one is 1 year. So, this is simply just renewing contract for the covert cameras that are in our detective interview rooms, just to make sure that we have the best cameras available to record those interviews. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you may have any.
I'll move to acknowledge receipt.
Second.
Is that it? We're going to let him go with just that? Motion made to acknowledge by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Appreciate it. Next item, please.
Item C, corrections, number 1, consider approval of request to pay the invoice for the Department of Corrections portion of the New World Standard Software Maintenance Agreement for the amount of $32,194 with funding from the fiscal year 2017 detention budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Phelps, Department of Corrections. This is an annual process we go through to ensure your notification that we're paying the Department of Corrections portion of the standard software maintenance agreement for our jail management software that is shared with Topeka Police and Shawnee County Sheriffs and others.
Questions for Major Phelps?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the request by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item C2, consider approval of the request for a letter of support for the Edward Byrne Johnson's Assistance Grant application by the National Association for Mental Illness, Kansas chapter for a certified peer specialist program to cover 5 Kansas counties, including Shawnee County.
Good morning, Tim Phelps, Department of Corrections. Again, this item is one that we are wanting to support because it goes along with the initiatives that we're taking with our mental health program at the jail that's going to be taking off in January 2018. This is a grant application for funding for a program that is presently being done in Sedgwick County with some success. They want to expand it to some other counties in Kansas, and we are one of the counties they are proposing to expand it to. And what it would do is essentially help those with mental illness that are incarcerated transition successfully back to the community by having a certified peer specialist to go along with them and help them with their contacts for housing and mental health services and other provisions. So we're just asking for a letter to be signed by the Commission in support of the grant application.
And this sort of goes well with an initiative that the JUMP group has been pushing for quite some time, I think. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. It does dovetail with that.
Right.
They're not particularly participating in this, but I'm certainly they'll be pleased to hear that we are potentially going to move forward on it.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Cook, any
No, I agree.
thoughts? Okay.
I'll move approval of the request.
Second.
Motion made to approve the request by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Major. Next item, please.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Gregory, Kansas Expo Center. Had a wonderful weekend at the Expo Center this past weekend, hosting the 2-day event of Cider Days. Did present a little bit of a challenge with the heat, but our 30-year-old air conditioning system in Exhibition Hall and Landon Arena, with a little help from some of our staff getting creative to keep it cooled off, was able to keep up, and had a wonderful event for 2 days. Across the street in Dome Arena, we hosted the National Bell Horse Racing Association's Kansas State Championships. It was a 4-day event, over 1,000 competitive runs in Dome Arena over the weekend. They did provide me some economic estimated numbers from the association. Estimated direct spending of over $500,000 over the 4-day event, with a estimated economic impact for Shawnee County of over $2 million spent by the time that is handled twice. Coming forward, today we are putting down a sheet of ice in Landon Arena. We will cover that for Thursday's Big Church Night Out concert in Landon Arena, uncover that and host Friday games and Saturday game for the Roadrunners, welcome them back into town. And then also Wednesday, we welcome the American Quarter Horse Association Fall Championship Show to Dome Arena for 5 days. So it is a busy season. So.
Yeah, I do notice on TV that the Roadrunners is being advertised and marketed heavily. And of course, the Crystal opportunity with Cirque du Soleil that's coming up, that's being advertised and marketed very well, and I appreciate those efforts.
Yes, it is. It is very exciting times at the Expo Center with the new management and a kind of a different look at things, and I'm very excited. Thank you.
I share that excitement. Anyone else for administrative communications?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Lubbe with Parks and Recreation. Tomorrow morning, we have a ribbon cutting ceremony. It's one of our latest partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club. It's at 8:30 a.m. at the Velma K. Paris Community Center. If you recall, our master plan highly encouraged us to try to find partners, nonprofit partners that basically can provide the same services that we do at a cheaper cost, and that's exactly what this partnership does. We're really excited, and Don McWilliams is tremendous to work with, and as you're aware, this is the second one we've done with them. They also manage our Abbott Community Center. Also, I want to remind everybody that our Shawnee County Foundation Golf Tournament is October 6th. It's a Friday. We have plenty of room for more teams, and if you haven't played golf in October at Lake Shawnee, it is beautiful. I highly encourage everybody to try to get a team out, and that is, again, on October 6th, Friday. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Randy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Ochs from the Health Department. This week we are beginning county employee flu vaccinations. So Tuesday we will be at the Department of Corrections. That is for their staff only. Wednesday at 1 to 2 at the Health Department at the McVicker J.P. Lewis Building. Next Wednesday, the 4th, will be here at the courthouse here in these chambers from 1 to 4. And Wednesday on the 11th of October from 6:15 a.m. to 9 a.m. will be at the North Annex providing those vaccines. We will also have both pneumonia vaccines and tetanus if anyone needs those. So, and of course, flu shots are now available to the public anytime in our regular clinic hours. Employees are also welcome to come then. And we will, just to remind you, we'll be having that event on October 17th for uninsured adults at the Central Park Community Center from 3 to 7. So, and we also have programs for uninsured children that can come into the clinic. So we have flu shots for everyone. They're recommended for everyone 6 months and older. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this morning? Commissioner Bueller.
Regretfully, I will not be able to attend the opening tomorrow at Velma K. Paris. I already had another commitment, but I just wanted to say my appreciation to Don McWilliams and Boys and Girls Club. She does an amazing job, and we're so lucky to have her in our community. So I hate to miss that, but yeah.
Agree.
So
Agree.
I concur, and nothing new for today.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I plan to be there, and with Band-Aids handy. I wanted to also mention that the comprehensive plan will be discussed next Monday, October the 2nd. I hope Tim will highlight that. I will bring it up again Thursday. This is a big deal for Shawnee County. And I think we all want to hear from the public, our contractors, our planning department. We want to hear from everybody going forward with the comprehensive plan. So that will be next Monday. Next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
You know, there is a need for an executive session to discuss non-elected personnel, specifically to interview for an open county position, and I will make a motion to go into executive session for that purpose, not to exceed 90 minutes at this point.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. We're in executive session. The executive session is over. We're back in session. No action required, and we are adjourned. Have a good week. Lucky's here.
Thank you. Thank you.